Aloha, it's Dr. Ezra. What an interesting time we're living in. This is October 1st, 2026. I'm doing this video from Las Vegas, Nevada. It was, last I checked, 115 degrees at about 5:30 p.m. Yep, I actually went to the park for a little run, and that didn't last very long. It was so hot. Anyway, a lot's been happening. You know, a little bit of, for those of you who don't know, I'm involved with some movements. I'm an activist and helping shake abuse out of every system of our lives. You know, any system of our lives where we allow abuse to exist always gets worse until we learn the lessons from it. That's right. So you can just know that that is the case and watch it happen every single time. Like there's a movie called The Hatfield and McCoys about two feuding families on opposite sides of the river after the Civil War. And even though they're just on opposite sides of the river, they're in two different counties, two different states, actually, right on the border. It was the river. And it was complete destruction, just devastation on both sides. You know, at the very end, the leader of one clan literally burned himself alive in a fit of rage, of drunken rage. And you could literally hear a demon laughing as that was happening in his little cabin, burning himself alive. A demon laughing, and as he was leaving that situation, coming out of the fire, just laughing at him. And the leader of the other clan decided to turn his life over to God finally, but everybody on both sides was utterly devastated. There was nothing else to do for these leaders. It's like a final life or death situation, and one of them chose the death, the other one chose life. But every positive and negative choice we make in any system is all connected to the life and death process of our cells. It's all connected, and even the actual engine of our cells, the sodium-potassium pump, has formulas that were written for what shuts it off and how to turn it back on. And my father's the one who wrote those formulas, who named it the sodium-potassium pump, and still those aren't taught in any college, university, or medical school outside of what we've been teaching in our university that's been triple private, Clarity University. So I spent a few years of my life, when the time came, to develop a docuseries called The Laws of Empowerment, and that could be called The Laws of Integration, because of how, we get into that right early, how we integrate or disintegrate truth itself with every positive or negative choice we make. It's not just life and death, but even the integration and disintegration of truth itself. And I'm actually helping to organize a council of councils for the purpose of creating a consensus on the highest level of clarity possible of understanding the laws of nature and how we work within them. That is what separates higher and lower realm governments, as well as the greater and lesser governments within this realm, is our level of clarity that we have of basically the light, that knowledge of the laws of the laws of nature and how we work within them. That clarity. So here we are. Just another day. Take and let that marinate before we really go any further. Let that marinate, let that sink in. I think that's something that even little kids can wrap their head around. That everything positive or negative, it's all different degrees of love or hate. No matter what system of our lives, all life is made of systems, right? And all those principles, because each system has a certain amount of principles, no matter what area, when it's positive, then it's life. And integration of greater knowledge, greater light. Because the love and the light are inseparable, like the head and the heart are inseparable. You can't have one without the other. They can't survive without each other. Every word in every language, there's a universal language within it all, and that is the energy. Every word that has the same definitions has the same energy. The energy signatures are the same. And we don't all have the same definitions of words. I might say love and understanding, and somebody might have a negative definition to the word understanding. I do not have a negative definition to that. I wasn't raised that way. I was just raised to think, that is the light. That is, that's the head. So, the love is in the heart. So, knowledge and power, clarity and charity, intelligence and energy, that's the head and the heart. So, all those things, it's like the word and the energy. So again, it's those energy signatures is a universal language. That energy, it's interesting. There's a technology that they have in Asia where they put dog collars on the dogs, and they've translated dogs' language into our languages, and it's about over 95% accurate, they say, which is pretty cool that we've come that far in our technology. And with AI technology, we can now have access to knowing what all the books knowledge have been that were written in Chinese within the Chinese culture. We have access. Language is no longer a barrier, and time and space is no longer a barrier. So this consensus that I'm talking about is actually a beyond global consensus. The cream of the crop all coming together, and there's already these cream of the crop I'm talking about. They're already having this conversation. It's already coming up. It's already coming out of their mouths. It used to be that I'd have to kind of drag people by the leg into a conversation like this. But now when I go into certain key circles, like friends of mine in Sedona, I find the conversation already happening. Where now that's a really big sign that its time has come. If you try to do something before its time has come, like this, where the best is saved for last, we're talking about grand finale, creating a new kingdom of God on earth, whether you want to call it that, or a new golden planet, or whatever, however you like to think about it. It's the same thing. The principle's the same. Different words and different cultures, but the principles are the same. The laws of nature, that's what we all can unite on, regardless of race or religion, because they cross the boundary of every race or religion. It's all one form of love or one form of hate, and we're service of one or another. These are principles that you can't, that every single person is living and applying regardless of race or religion. It's the principles of nature, which are the principles of God, same thing. But coming from it, from the laws of nature, we can unite the hearts of everyone. And it's much greater level of clarity. You might have thought that you've heard people talk about this before, but not at a level of clarity of what is described in the Laws of Empowerment docuseries. There hasn't been anything close to that I've seen exist in any culture. That's why I produced it. And it's like the great documentary that brings all the greatest thought leaders and all the other great documentaries all together into one. It's like a grand integration. And that is what the true gathering is, my friends, is a grand integration of truth from every culture. This is a very multicultural, interfaith friendly, beyond global peace building system. That's right. And I believe in that there will be no kings or presidents of any country. That has been prophesied in Asia and by Native American cultures. And some people, when they think of that, the first thing they think of is utter chaos. Yet the level of clarity that I'm talking about is complete opposite of such chaos. You know, the No Kings movement was a chaos movement because there was no clarity to it. And it was to smear the idea to make people continue to think that that's just pure chaos. But what I'm talking about is something completely different. A whole next level of clarity beyond what anybody has presented, especially to the masses in a big way. So the lawsofempowerment.com, that has the docuseries that I produced 10 years ago on this. And I've never stopped learning about it. Keep learning, keep growing, and continue to get insights to some of the things that Jesus said that haven't been preached over Christian pulpits. Why? Because the first disintegration within the Christian world happened while he was alive, and it's been, like, to me, a bunch of chickens running around with their heads cut off. It's what I've been seeing my whole life. That's what it looks like, because primarily of the first disintegration, which was the biggest disempowerment. That was right. That's the first disempowerment was the biggest disempowerment. Biggest one of all. Anyway, I got to run into a dinner. I'm saying hello to some friends. But this is my 2 cents for the day. Hope you guys all have a beautiful August and beyond.